Amazon's Fallout TV series woke trash? Some very concerning signs already, and I must stop you right there. As an avid Fallout fan, I have played every single game numerous times, and I will stop you there, for you do not know of what you speak. First, I think it's really important to contextualize what I believe the term woke to mean. Woke nowadays is seen as a derogatory term referring to anything that has what people perceive to be unnecessary representation of marginalized and minority groups. When I use the term woke, I'm using it in a derogatory way because the people nowadays who use the term are people who cower in fear at the sight of a female protagonist. Woke, in my mind, is a concept that these people have made up because they are in a one-way culture war, and therefore every time they sit down to consume a piece of media, they must search for anything that could be considered liberal. If there is a prominent female role, it is woke. If there is a gay person, it is woke. If there is a non-white person, it is woke. This isn't based on any other aspects of said media, nor if the representation is meaningful, only begrudging the fact that it is there at all. There are valid reasons to find discomfort in representation. For example, I despise the way that corporations will plaster themselves in rainbows during Pride Month to milk out every single pound that they can from the LGBTQ community and not care about them for the rest of the year. I hate writers inserting a gay character to give them absolutely no substance and mold them into the stereotype of what they think a gay person should be, just for the tokenism. I dislike these forms of representation because they're facetious, exploitative, and an inaccurate representation of an entire community. The anti-woke brigade, on the other hand, dislike this representation because it's representation whatsoever. To illustrate this point, a lot of people with this mindset are now reacting to the Fallout Amazon TV series, making claims about the series which are contradictory when looking at the games themselves. Some of these claims were made before the series even aired. They are mostly upset at producers stating the series will have an aspect of social commentary. Fallout is built on social commentary. War. War never changes. The tagline for the entire series of Fallout, first spoken in its debut. The game's universe is set in a post-apocalyptic United States following the Great War, a conflict between the former and China that began and ended in a singular day. On October 23, 2077, a series of nuclear missiles were launched. The first was sighted off the coast of California, others hitting Pennsylvania and New York. 6 hours after the first, Washington, D.C. was hit. Both sides suffered catastrophic losses in their respective territories. Large parts of the United States of America was rendered a wasteland, toxic and uninhabitable. Survivors were left homeless in an alien land they once knew, unable to grow crops to put food on their plates. The surface was, for many affected areas, a lawless desert, wherein making it to the next day was not a guarantee, some civilians resorting to theft, others to eating each other. Even 200 years on, relics of pro-American propaganda exist. Liberty Prime, a Brotherhood-discovered robot, can be found in the Fallout 3's Capital Wasteland, and repeats patriotic rhetoric and anti-Chinese sentiments when activated. The Museum of Freedom, located in what remains of Massachusetts in Fallout 4, holds remnants of the Boston Tea Party of the American Revolutionary War. All of this can be seen within the game, and when contrasted with the current state of the country, personifies the Fallout tagline without any character having to utter a word. We see from the perspective of our playable heroes, or anti-heroes if you like, how war has directly altered the course of history, the losses, the destruction, what remains of humanity, the failure of the governments on either side to prevent nuclear warfare, and the impact it had on the population. It isn't merely a roleplay game with combat features utilised against strange and unique enemies. It's a virtual walkthrough on how senseless violence can lead to devastation. War never changes. You have no right to rule. The Lone Wanderer, Fallout 3. The very concept of vaults is built largely on deceiving and exploiting vulnerable individuals. Leading up to the Great War, Vault-Tec, a defense corporation, was commissioned to design and build underground bunkers known as vaults. The publicised intention was that in the event of nuclear fallout, a selection of the population could survive there until it would be safe to take to the surface again. Most vaults were built to facilitate experiments on unknowing residents, targeting the vulnerable and those desperate to escape an impending disaster. For example, Fallout 3's Vault 95 within the Commonwealth was exclusively made up of substance-reliant individuals, supposedly to rehabilitate them. However, one was an undercover Vault-Tec employee whose role was to open the secret stash of substances 5 years after the vault was sealed, so the results could be recorded. In Fallout New Vegas, the Mojave Wasteland's Vault 11 inhabitants were told they had to sacrifice a member of the vault once a year or the life support system would shut off. By the time only 5 residents remained and refused to continue, it was revealed to them that it was a test of morality and value of human life. In reality, if they had refused to sacrifice a member earlier on, nothing would have happened and the vault doors would have been opened, freeing them to come and go as they pleased. By offering desperate people sanctuary, Vault-Tec condemned many to be guinea pigs in their experiments, particularly those of lower social status. Those powerful or rich enough may have instead found themselves in a control vault, free of experimentation. Another option, of course, was to exploit their power and build their own private shelter. Within Boston, the mayoral shelter can be discovered. A luxury bunker funded by the taxpayer, the mayor built it to placate his demanding wife to shield their family from any fallout. He refused entry for citizens, only to end his own life shortly after once they formed a mob at the entrance. A crowd overthrew his security forces and took the vault by force. This in and of itself is a clear-cut example of class inequality, yet it doesn't stop there. In Fallout 3, wealthy survivor Tenpenny, owner of Tenpenny Tower, wants you to nuke an entire working-class town because it ruins his view. This was an actual historical occurrence in Britain wherein the wealthy elite would tear down peasants' houses as they were unsightly. We need one race. Fallout, the Master. Super mutants are the product of the FEV, the forced evolutionary virus, imposed on humans. Once subjected to the virus, they lose all sense of individuality. In early versions of FEV, victims lose their sanity and free will, becoming aggressive killing machines. Seen in the very first Fallout game, the Master is an individual who kidnaps and subjects civilians to experiments to create the perfect intelligent super mutant, what he believes would be a superior race. All beings exactly the same, working towards the same goal in a forced yet now willing conformity. This race would then go on to wipe out all other inferior forms of life. This eugenicist idea is far from fiction, and I'm sure you can think of 1 or 2 historical events fueled by the same ideology. Super mutants also encompass so many aspects regarding self, individuality, and control. While super mutants are gendered, they become sterile with no secondary sex characteristics present. Lily, a Nightkin super mutant variant, clings to her identity of being a grandmother being a gendered term. She even pins a flower to her scarf. Yet she is far from the frail grandmother we can presumably believe she used to be. Lily is now a hulking beast, far more masculine in appearance with her giant muscles. Gender is a significant aspect of her individuality and tied her to her family life as a grandmother. She is a walking example of what happens when forced to conform and forsake all the parts of yourself and your life you value. Another element of race touched on are ghouls. Ghouls come in many varieties, the main 2 being a ghoulified human and a feral ghoul. Ghoulified humans are, for the most part, human. They've been affected by radiation left by fallout. Body parts deformed or missing, are immune to or sometimes healed by radiation, have extended lifespans. Harold the Ghoul is a recurrent figure known to have lived at least 205 years. These ghoulified humans, which are referred to simply as ghouls for brevity, retain their humanity. They are able to think, feel, and reason. They can recall memories of their lives. They are intelligent. On the other hand, feral ghouls are affected by radiation so much that they become skeletal in figure and hostile in nature. They lack the ability to communicate or reason and do not remember their past life, existing only to attack other living beings without provocation. Ghouls have a history in the Fallout universe of discrimination from their human counterparts. A portion of the human population have misconceptions about ghouls, ranging from the belief that they are all feral and violent to the idea ghouls can infect humans. They can be shot on sight, as seen in Fallout 1's incident. When Harold learned he needed a repair part that could only be obtained from Vault City, ghoul messengers were sent to inquire about it. These messengers were instantly shot by Vault City guard. In Fallout 3, ghouls have their own segregated city, the Underworld, to live peacefully in. In the same game, Tenpenny expresses a hatred for ghouls, refusing them entry into his tower to live or even stay there. President Eden will also give the player a choice to add a modified version of the FEV into the water purifier that would kill all mutated life forms, super mutant, ghoul, intelligent or not. Racism and racial purity are a written-in part of Fallout's lore. On a more insidious note, anyone having an issue with any character being played by a person of colour in the Fallout series seriously needs to turn around and have a look at the variety of races within the Fallout games. In Fallout 2, Chinatown is a location within San Francisco. It has been settled in by the descendants of the crew of the Shi-Huang-Ti, a Chinese submarine. There are a surplus amount of dark-skinned characters such as Tandy, Fallout and Fallout 2, Three Dog, Fallout 3, Gavil, Fallout 4, just to name a few. And there doesn't need to be a lore justification for characters of colour to begin with. We are all equal at the end of the world. Female lead for Fallout makes it not Fallout for me. To correct a misconception, there are several main point of view characters in the series, one being female and the other three male. The question still remains, however, why would a female protagonist make Fallout not Fallout? Is there something about the Fallout gaming series that leads you to believe that women wouldn't do as well as men in an apocalyptic situation, or at least they shouldn't be the centre of it? Fallout 1, Natalia. Fallout 2, Chitza. Fallout 3, 4, New Vegas and 76, you can choose to be male or female. It's a role-playing game where you get to create your own character, choosing whether to be male or female. I'm confused as to why some think a TV series adaptation of a role-playing game having a female protagonist would be a problem. It's feasible within the game's universe, and playing as either gender within the game makes little to no difference in terms of gameplay. In an apocalyptic situation, were you expecting that only men would survive? If you really think about it, women tend to be smaller than men, therefore in combat they would have smaller hitboxes, being harder to defeat. Within lore, gender roles are essentially non-existent due to the drastic change in circumstance. When your life is a fight for survival, everyone becomes equal. Everyone who was or becomes dirt poor by the time you need to fight anyhow. Women would have had to take up typically masculine roles and become adept at them for there to be a chance for them to survive, and evidently those who did excelled in them. There are plenty of female characters in the game from Fallout 1 to Fallout 4, and therefore there should be no issue with there being a female protagonist. The same goes for non-gender conforming individuals and trans people, of which no character in the TV series is confirmed to be, despite the mass panic from the anti-woke brigade. In fact, the existence of non-gender conforming individuals could make sense in a world where gender has no relevance upon a person's life. We do see female raiders taking up buzz cuts and more masculine appearances within the gaming series, probably as a result of having to harden themselves a typically male-type mindset, particularly when departing from a society that had its culture stuck in 1950s America. At the end of the day, this identity would be best explored through the perspective of a character during their own experience in a, role-playing game, or a television adaptation of a role-playing game. Moving swiftly onwards to the gays. Much like gender, sexuality plays a minor role within the games, being that when you are trying to avoid death at every turn, who someone else hooks up with is very much as little of your concern as it ever was. In 1998, Fallout 2 was released, and is widely considered the first PC game to allow the player to romance the same sex. That's right everyone, Fallout stands gay rights. They put gay rights in the game. They wanted gay rights, and therefore any gayness that could possibly be seen within the Amazon TV series, the Fallout 2 developers would have wanted. That is what our forefathers fought for. Embrace tradition, reject modernity, make the protagonists of Fallout the Amazon series gay. In all seriousness, from Fallout 2 all the way up to its most recent release, in every single game there has either been the ability to romance the same sex or LGBTQ characters. Its original creator, Timothy Kane, is gay, so all of the gamer bros crying about how their game was stolen and adapted by the left can literally stop. It was never yours, it was the gays to begin with. There's an entire wiki page about it on the Fallout fan wiki, you can read it at your leisure. To summarise, these anti-woke brigade bros have no idea what they're talking about when they're criticising a TV adaptation of a gaming series that is based around the after effects of war, which is political to begin with and has themes of social justice and commentary sprinkled throughout every single game during its entire near 30-year run. If you were going to criticise media for having aspects of liberalism and social commentary in it, Fallout was not the series for you, sir. Find another series. Stay away from my series. I hope this video was entertaining and I will see you in the next video. Bye.